Hi everybody, welcome back to the kitchen. We're gonna get started on our first dish, and this is going to be a spaghetti squash with a really delicious, really creamy toasted almond and chai gravy. Very fall inspired, certainly a great dish that you can bring to any holiday parties that you go to. So we're gonna get started on the spaghetti squash, and they look like this, and you'll obviously see signs that say this is a spaghetti squash when you go to the store or the market, and these are really neat. I actually met somebody recently who's never used one, and he couldn't really comprehend how these work, but these are great because they actually, when they cook, they come out looking like spaghetti noodles, and you can use them in place of pasta for a much healthier alternative. So I'm gonna get this roasted in the oven, and how I'm gonna do that is cut it right in half. You can take this little end off with a knife if you'd like, and put a little olive oil in there. You can use a brush and kind of brush it on the top. Put it in an oven at 350 degrees and let it roast anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. You want it just to start to get really soft and a little bit browned along the edges. So I'm gonna do that right now. All right, so here it is. We've got our roasted spaghetti squash. Now, in this recipe, if you're serving a lot of people, I would actually recommend using 2 or 3 of these. And once they are cooked, you can grab a fork and use your fork to just kind of make little pools in the squash. And as you can see, effortlessly, it comes out looking like pasta. So you kind of use your fork and do this for the whole thing. And I'm gonna add this to a bowl. And you can be kind of gentle with it, because once you're done getting all of the squash out, you can use those skins on the outside actually as serving vessels to put everything back into. And it just looks a little more interesting than using a plate, but you can use whatever you want. Okay, so there's one, and we'll get the other one. All right, there we go. So look at that. This is all the amount that you get from just one spaghetti squash. So that's a lot of food. So put that aside and get started on the next thing. We're going to toast some slivered almonds. Now you can find raw almonds like this, cut in this kind of slivered shape at the store. And when you toast them, it really brings out the flavor and really makes your house smell like cookies too. It's really good. So to toast these, you just put them in a large skillet. Don't put any oil down. Just dump them in over a high flame and kind of toss them around. And you can start to smell, they get very aromatic. They start to get brown. Be careful if you burn a couple pieces, that's okay. You can always pick them out. So this is 1 cup of slivered toasted almonds, plus a little bit extra because we're gonna use it to garnish the top of our dish once we're all set and ready to go. So do maybe 1.5 cups just to be sure that you have enough. So now we're gonna add these to the blender with some of our other ingredients to make our toasted almond chai gravy. I'm gonna get this squash out of the way. We have our blender out, and now we're just gonna make the rest of the gravy. So what we're gonna add first is the toasted almonds, and just as I said, save a little bit for the end so we can garnish stuff. So you wanna get about 1 cup of toasted almonds in there. And now this is 1.5 cups of almond milk. This is unsweetened almond milk. You can use a non-dairy milk of choice, but obviously this one works really well since we're using almonds anyway, and almond milk is a lot thicker and a lot creamier than some of the other kind. Now we have some of our chai-inspired seasonings. So this is really great for the fall because I think chai and Thanksgiving and stuff, you think of things like cinnamon and cloves. We have here 1 teaspoon each of brown sugar, cinnamon, and ginger. These are all dried, obviously, so go ahead and put those in. And then 1/2 teaspoon of ground cardamom and cloves. And the cloves that I'm using are whole. You can also just get cloves that are already ground. So we have those, and that is everything. We're gonna blend this up until it gets to be a consistency of a creamy gravy. Oh, it already smells really good too. All right. right, that looks pretty good. Now, obviously, you know, a blender like this helps make it really smooth and creamy, but you can use a food processor. If you don't have a blender, that would be fine. So we have our creamy sauce in here all ready to go. I'm gonna get that bowl of spaghetti squash, and we're gonna lightly pour it in. What you wanna be sure not to do is make too much so that all you taste is the sauce. You wanna get a little bit of that spaghetti squash flavor. So pour a little in, mix it through. We'll probably need a little bit more than that. There we go. And you can see, especially once it's covered, it kind of looks like whole wheat pasta. Yeah, it definitely makes enough of the gravy that you can do this with 2 or 3 butternut squashes. So, and if you have some left over, you can maybe dunk some cookies in it. I don't know. It tastes really good. Now that we have this coated and mixed, we're gonna go get the outsides of our spaghetti squash to put it in. All right, so these are remember the leftover skins of the spaghetti squash, and they're still pretty intact. Now you don't have to do this, but if you have them, why not use them? They look kind of neat. So we'll scoop half of that mixture in there. There we go. And just kind of tuck it in. And now use some of those remaining toasted almonds to sprinkle across the top. And if you have any whole spices and you want to use them kind of as a garnish, you can add them to a plate or add them on top just to make it look really pretty. So here I have some star anise, and we didn't use star anise in the recipe, but I think it looks really pretty. So if you want to, you can put some of those in the top. You can put some whole cinnamon sticks in there on the plate. And that looks really nice for the fall. So there we go. It's a spaghetti squash with a toasted almond chai gravy.